Back to Liverpool talk. Today I'm going to go over my season in review. So my thoughts on Liverpool's 2022-23 season, the highs and the lows, going over some of the good points and some of the more negative points, and what my thoughts are on the next season, potential signings and where I think we will place. Now, going over last season, I think most Reds can agree that it certainly wasn't one of our better seasons, finishing in 5th place and grabbing Thursday night football in the Europa League. For me, bitterly disappointing that it ended that way. We did push towards the last part of the season, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. I think we just left it far too late. Results previously had put that to the sword that we just were never going to make Champions League football. I didn't believe, waiting for far too many teams to slip up. And to be honest, our form didn't indicate that we were ever going to get Champions League football. I think if we did manage to get it, it would be through the fault of other teams as opposed to how well we'd been playing. I think there has been some really good positives this season to take. In a season that we've won 9-0, 7-0 against Man United, which is definitely my highlight of the season. 7-1 away to Rangers. Still sees us finishing 5th, and again, a very indifferent season from some of our seasoned pros. Virgil van Dijk, Fabinho, not trying to single out players, but certainly a massive drop-off from some of the guys that we were able to really rely on. I think that losing Diaz through injury was quite a big one, Jota through injury as well. Mo Salah still churned out some amazing stats considering how poor we were, but on his standards, it wasn't actually his best season. But there is still a lot of positives to take from it. Definitely would mention Stefan Bajcetic. A massive positive to see such a young lad coming into the team and holding his own, given the opportunity in the team at the absolute wrong time when we weren't playing well, when he had no one else around him to help. And he shone. He done really, really well. It's so gutting that his season ended prematurely through that injury, because I think that we do actually have something special in Bajcetic, and I'm hoping that he plays a big part in next season. Even if we do sign midfielders or not, I still see a big future for him at Liverpool, and hopefully again it's next season. Cody Gakpo, another really big plus. What an intelligent footballer, what an amazing footballer. I think that he started quite slowly and people started to question whether or not he should have been signed, and then it was probably the Man United game where everyone realised that we've got something special on our hands. And his finish in the second half, in particular his second goal, his first one was a tremendous finish, but his second one, I don't want to say it, but it was Bobby Firmino-esque, and I think that losing Bobby this season, we were hoping that there might be something potentially to replace him. We might already have it. Gakpo might be that man. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on him, but he's still relatively young. He certainly seems to have an eye for a goal. He likes to link up the play. He likes an assist as much as he likes a goal, and all of these things do remind me of Bobby Firmino. I even think the link up between him, Salah, Jota towards the tail end of the season was really good to see. Next season it'll be interesting to see how we fit a front line that includes Darwin Núñez, Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, Diego Jota and Mo Salah. I'll see how best we actually get out of them. I personally think that the plan is that they all get on the pitch at one point, but they're not necessarily guaranteed starters. I think that Mo Salah is going to be one that will be first on the team sheet, and I think that possibly Jota as well. But it's exciting. The front line's exciting, and I think Gakpo this season has been a breath of fresh air when we really, really needed it. We did struggle, and I don't think he was the one necessarily to push us on, but he was definitely a bright spark in the team. The tail end of the season, it was really, really good to see Curtis Jones starting to get much more involved in goals and assists. It was great to see him playing with a lot more confidence. Now, there is definitely a player in Curtis Jones. It's just whether or not he's got enough to be in that starting lineup every week, or if, in fact, his part to play is just going to be a really solid squad member who comes on in games and provides a goal threat or a burst and run from midfield. We all know that Jones has got bags of energy. We know that he's full of enthusiasm, that he loves the club, he wants to play for the club. It was always the quality that was questioned and his consistency, and he did look at his most consistent towards the tail end of the season. But again, still a little bit unsure as to whether or not he is going to be a squad player, a bit part player, or he could actually really force himself into the team. My thoughts are that he's going to be a squad player, but someone who would definitely bring more to the table than what Chamberlain and Naby Keita did at times. So I think that was a big positive. I think the form of Kanate as well was good. He was in a really dodgy backline at times, but he still seemed to be our most consistent defender over the season. I think that he's still young. He's definitely ready, and he should be playing for me every single week, whether or not that's us partnering with Van Dijk and it's him alongside him, or whether or not we're looking at the possibility of a whole new centre-back pairing and Kanate being part of it. But for me, it's exciting. He's still young. He does have all the attributes to be a really quality top-level centre-half. So another real positive from the season. Trent Alexander-Arnold, his form towards, again, the tail end of the season, he's just shown everyone what he is capable of. He's world class on his day. We know this. We know that delivery, assists, timing of the pass, variation of pass, he's up there with the absolute elite when it comes to things like that. They liken him to only Kevin De Bruyne when it comes to his passing range and how he could pass from deep and from angles. And that's exactly right. Questions will always be whether or not we could fit him in this team defensively. And I think that he did get found out at times this season. Not necessarily because of himself, but because of the lack of quality in the midfield that we've had this season, the lack of support and protection that he needs to go and do what he's great at. It didn't help that Van Dijk wasn't at his best. It didn't help that we kept chopping and changing between centre halves and nobody really had any form of consistency. Even Robertson at left back looked shaky at times. But yeah, it's another real positive towards the tail end of the season is to see if we're going with this kind of inverted right back with Trent, because it really did look such a dangerous weapon for us going forward. And if we could tighten up in the midfield with either a couple of additions or people picking up a bit of form again, then that is something that I can see Liverpool playing next season, definitely going forward. Him knocking it in from deep, it was such a huge thing for us, and it did get us a lot of these points towards the end of the season. Some of the assists that he made towards the tail end of the season was just unbelievable. So that was another really kind of good point, was Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now to the slightly more negative part. Van Dijk's form worries me. Van Dijk on his day is the best, no question. There is no one that comes close. Simple as that. However, he's not been on his day. He's had probably his most difficult season this season, which obviously transpired with Liverpool having one of our most difficult seasons this season. The two probably do go hand in hand a little bit. A 70-80% Van Dijk is still as good, if not better, than most of the defenders in this league. But it did show that his drop-off meant the team did drop off quite a bit. He did pick up again in times, showing peaked little bits of his own kind of form and what he was able to do. He certainly does seem to have lost a little bit of pace, which is understandable given the injury he's had in the last 3 or 4 seasons that he's played is on the back of that as well. So I think that it's understandable that he has had a drop off. I'm hoping it is just a drop off and it is just along with the team and everyone dropping off at the exact same time, and that it's not just the way Van Dijk's going to be from now on, because we certainly do need him to bring on the likes of Kanate, potentially another centre half that's coming in. I don't unfortunately see much of a future for Joel Matip and potentially even Joe Gomez as well. So we're potentially looking at one or two centre halves coming in. That was disappointing. Van Dijk's form was disappointing, as was unfortunately Fabinho's form. Again, picked up towards the tail end, just as the team did as well. But his form really dipped, and again at the absolute worst time. Everyone seemed to dip in form at the exact same time. He dropped off massively. He looks like he's lost a couple of yards of pace. He was never the quickest, he wasn't. But even his tenacity and his tackle seemed to have gone. The bite from the tackle, the reading of the game that he used to be so fabulous at. We were once talking that Fabinho was the best defensive midfielder in the world at one point, and he was. And the drop-off is that he wasn't even the best defensive midfielder in the squad this season. And Stefan Bajcetic, an 18-year-old midfielder, probably took that award this season. So it shows you how much that Fabinho has dropped off. That in turn with the whole midfield really. Thiago in and out. Again, injuries. We all know how fabulous of a footballer Thiago is and how much better we are when he is on the pitch, but we can't consistently get Thiago on the pitch, and that's again a huge concern. I absolutely adore the player. Makes us so much better when he's there, ticks it over, even bites into tackles, breaks up play, passing ability is just second to none. He's a fabulous player, but he's no use to us when he's on the sidelines. So that's another one that we probably need to look at next season, is that are we looking at three players coming in that midfield? Are we hopeful that Henderson's form picks up a little bit, Fabinho's form picks up a little bit, that we get a consistent games from Thiago, or is this something that is Jurgen Klopp's idea, is to bring in a whole new midfield and hope that the back line and the front line are enough to give them an opportunity to bed in? My thoughts is that we're bringing in more than one midfielder. It looks like Alexis McAllister is going to be one of them, which I'm delighted with. I did a video on him previously. He's a tremendous midfielder from Brighton. It gives us exactly what we need in the midfield. Not really sure where we play him. I'm not sure if we're going to play him as an 8 or a 10 or kind of in between that type. But a great addition to our team. The other names that have been kind of banded about, Mason Mount. Not too sure about that one. I think that he's potentially Manchester United bound. Reported fee of about 70 million for him with a year left on his contract. I'm not sure that we would go and spend that type of money on Mason Mount. But yeah, there's lots of names getting by. I don't even want to name. There's so many at the moment. The young French lads, Kone and Thuram, are names that just kind of seem to be around the team quite a lot, and that would be very exciting. Two young midfielders who know each other very well. Future for France going forward by the looks of it. So I think that would be interesting. It would be very exciting bringing in these two young midfielders. But how do we fit them in this team? Do they come in and join our more experienced? Are they the new midfield? Are we doing a bit of both? It'll definitely be interesting, but it's something we need. We definitely need midfielders. We definitely need fresh legs in that midfield. We definitely need another centre half to either help with Van Dijk or support Kanate, whether it be we bring in another young defender or a more experienced. I think we're probably going to look at the younger defenders with a bit of pace about them. That's my thoughts and my hopes. But on to next season, really difficult one to call. I don't think anyone foreseen this season for Liverpool. I don't think that we thought that 5th was where we were going to end up. We were 2 games away from the quadruple. Completely unprecedented. We would have gone down in history, and the drop off from that has been humongous. So no one really saw the season ahead. No one thought that we would be 5th and battling Newcastle and Manchester United for 3rd and 4th place. Everyone thought we were going toe to toe with City again, and that we were potentially going to pip them this season. and add to our trophy collection, whether that being another European trophy or another Carabao Cup or an FA Cup or the league. To end the season with nothing was really disappointing, and to end in the Europa League is really disappointing. We should use this as an opportunity though, going forward. It's still European football, it's still a trophy that has eluded Jurgen Klopp up until now. Finals in Dublin as well, which I'm sure every Liverpool fan would love to go over if we manage to reach that final. So there's something to potentially look forward to. But for me, we need to really push on again next season. I feel that other teams are going to get stronger. Arsenal, Man United, there's talk of a few signings for them. Newcastle have effectively, they've jumped into that Champions League spot out of nowhere. But I do believe that's mainly through the drop-off of other teams as opposed to how well they've done. Nothing to take it away. It was a great season for Newcastle. I don't see them consistently in the top four, but for next season, potentially they can. So are we now looking that we're going to be fighting for third and fourth, or should we be up there challenging with Man City again? My thoughts are we will. Okay, my thoughts are is that we will be challenging Man City. At this stage, I wouldn't want to say where we're going to end up. I would love to see the signings first and see how they kind of get embedded into the team through the pre-season. So my prediction is not going to be anything just yet until I hear or see some of the signings that we make, and then I'll definitely make a bold prediction at that particular stage as to what I feel we're going to end up as. But yeah, it was a tough one, Reds. It was a really tough season for us to endure. We all went through it. We will still always come away with some highs from that season. Man United 7-0. Regardless of how the season ended, and no one's happy with the season, that was fantastic. It was fantastic to dismantle that Manchester United team and give them 7 when we were not meant to be at our best and they were meant to be title contenders. So that was fantastic. That's the only real highlight, unfortunately, I'll take from the season. But it was what highlight it was. But onwards and upwards, let's go into next season hoping that we start to kick on again. We ended the season really strongly, I thought, albeit a couple of draws towards the tail end of the season. I think at that stage that the guys had their flip-flops on and we knew we weren't getting Champions League, so Europa League it was, and we kind of dropped off a bit. I did actually quite like seeing the 4-4 with Southampton on the last day of the season, going 2-0 up in Liverpool fashion and then going 4-2 down in Liverpool fashion as well. I think it was a bit of a reminder of what the whole season was like for Liverpool, that we were good going forward but defensively so poor. But yeah, I am excited about next season. I'm excited to see that Jota back in the team scoring goals, which is great. Gakpo being involved. Darwin Núñez, I've not even mentioned Darwin Núñez yet. I thought that he actually had a pretty decent first season as well, and I think that another pre-season under his belt, another lot of training with the first team and getting involved, I think we might see another level to Darwin Núñez next season. I think 15 goals he got in his first season. I think it was 15 goals and assists, so it was a solid season for Darwin Núñez, I believed. And if he can kick on and add another 10 or 15 on top of that, then we certainly have a quality player on our hands. I love Darwin Núñez, and I think that next season potentially could be his season, and hopefully he's starting to score a lot more of those chances that he's been getting. The good thing is he is getting the chances at least. So hopefully we start to see Núñez celebrate a little bit more next season, which would be great. And again, the front line, Diaz coming back. Hopefully we can get a bit of form out of Diaz again. Jota scoring goals. Salah doing Salah's thing as he normally does. It's all about the midfield. It's all about reinforcing that midfield, bringing in players that we need, and potentially a few at the back line as well. But let me know your thoughts on this one, Red. How did you feel the season went? If you're marking it out of 10, where are you putting us? To be honest, I think the fact that we are sitting at 5th, I think 5 out of 10 is probably where I'm at when it comes to this season. I can't go any higher than that. I think that I'm looking for an 8 or a 9 next season, solid. So hopefully that takes us into 2nd or potentially even 1st. But what's your thoughts, guys? How did you feel the season went? What was your highs and lows? What was your positives? What was your negatives? And how do you think next season's going to go? Let me know. Leave the comment below and let me know your thoughts on what you feel for next season and how you thought this season went. And yeah, share and like. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully next season we'll be speaking about much more victories on Liverpool's part. And I'll take another 7-0 against Man United again, just to pop a little cherry on that cake. So yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, guys, and interact. Let me know how you think next season will go, how you thought this season went. But thanks again, and take care. Bye for now.